Hey y'all, it's Natalie for Not Just for Boys Kit Club today, and I am working with the Sunshiny Day page kit. And I was so excited to dive into this. I love summer scrapping. I think it's so much fun. So I'm just showing you the papers. You can see I've already kind of cut into them. And I'm using the white cardstock background, and I've already put some white gesso over on the left side. Those are the photos I'm using. They're 4 2x3 photos of my sons at a water park. And I'm going to use the cardstock cut that says the best day right there. So this is also for the challenge in our Facebook group. I hope you'll participate. Our challenge is to use a stencil on your layout. So the retro summer sunburst stencil that you see me using right here comes in the Sunshiny Day kit, and it is so fabulous. So my tip for this is don't take your texture paste or your spray or whatever you're doing all the way to the edge to avoid those harsh lines, unless you want those harsh lines. But I just want the sun rays to kind of like organically stop. So I just, used my palette knife and let them stop without getting all the way to the edge. I set it aside to dry, and then I backed the Best Day cardstock cut with that Pink Fresh Studio yellow polka dot. I think it's Pink Fresh. That one might be Simple Story. Sorry, I'm not sure. I had also previously traced the letters from the word best and cut them out of that other turquoise paper. But before I assemble that, I'm going to work with the texture paste that I applied. So this mint colored Shimmers Spritz comes in the kit as well. So I am just pouring it on top of the texture paste and letting it kind of run amongst the lines of the texture paste. So it gets in there really nicely and kind of creates really good dimension by sticking in the lines. And I really love the color, but I'm going to let it dry completely, and then I'm going to do another layer to make it a little bit longer, not the right word, darker. So I let it dry, and now I'm going to just do that again. But I'm just going to spritz it on this time. The spritzer was working pretty well, so I just decided to do that. I do add a little bit of water, but mostly I just kind of use the watercolor and let it run through the texture paste. I also am going to add splatter, but my tip for adding splatter is to allow the watercolor to dry completely. Otherwise, your splatters will just kind of run into the wet watercolors. So if you want them to actually be round splatters, then you want it to completely dry first. So I'm just using this small paintbrush and small taps to give a nice little splatter all over the texture paste and around it. And then I'll take a little bit over to the right side of the page as well. And then in the Essentials kit, you get the fossilized amber distress oxide. So I'm also using that color to kind of incorporate the yellow color that I used to back the cut file into my background. And I'm impatient, so I'm using my heat gun as well. So you can see there's the cardstock cut, and I'm just going to lay the other turquoise words best over the top, and I cut them a little bit smaller so that you'll be able to see the yellow peeking around them. And then here are my 4 photos of my kids that I'm going to put. That's kind of what I'm thinking with the design. I did rough up the edges of the best additional letters that I put up there, and then I'm going to pop them up on some foam tape to give them dimension. I love this cut file, and it actually works really well for these photos, because when you're on a cruise and you stop at Coco Key, there's all these commercials that say it's the best day ever, and they say it so much, and they say it in the announcements on the intercom, and they sing songs about it. There's literally a whole song about it, and I'm like, this is a lot of pressure. This is so much pressure to make this water park day the best day ever. But it was actually more fun than I expected it to be honest with you. And the kids both loved riding all the water slides, even the one that you stand in and it closes on you and then drops the bottom out in front of you. I was like, no way I'm doing that, but I did it, and it was really fun. So now I'm going through the retro summer bits and pieces by Simple Stories. They're the die cuts, and they're such a good size, and they're so cute. So I'm pulling out ones that I think will go well with these photos, as well as they I pull out a lot that are like the minty green color, but a lot of them are going to sit over there where the sunburst is. So I don't want them to kind of blend into the background. So I'm actually going to incorporate a few more of the pinks and oranges around the page so that I can comfortably use these bits and pieces that have those colors on them as well. So I do that in one way by using all of the colors of the puffy alphas that come in this kit, which are from Pink Pesh Studio, and they're very tiny. And so I love that I can just add those at the bottom of the cut file to say where we were, especially since it corresponded so much with their marketing and how we kind of joked about it being a lot of pressure. So I grabbed a little bit of yellow cardstock just from my stash, and I used that to back the photos, and then I roughed up the edges to kind of go along with the distressed look of my page. And then I'm going to stick the cut file down directly on the page. I'm not going to pop it up or anything since I'm already popping up one of the words. I just made sure to put a lot of adhesive on it because I have gesso on the page and some texture paste. So you really want to make sure that you use a lot of adhesive because things don't like to stick to those things. So I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of all the photos so that I can place them over there on the right and just kind of nestle them all together and under the cut file a little bit so that they all fit really nicely, and like the top photos stick out as much as the bottom photo sticks out, and they're overlapping a little bit but really only covering up the negative space in the other photos, things like that. So there I go. I tuck it in a little bit more so I can get this last picture on the page without it sticking off the side. So then I decide for all of these little ephemera bits that I've picked out that I would like to pop them up with foam tape like I did for the word best. So I go grab my Big Mama foam tape roll and I just kind of use it to back all of the ephemera pieces. And sometimes, like for the little string of lights or whatever that is up at the top left, I have to cut my foam tape in half, but that's okay. It's not really that difficult, and it holds really tightly and really well. So even if you cut it in half, it still does the job, and it pops everything up and gives it a really cool dimension. So I like how the dimensional elements are just scattered all over the page when I'm done with popping all of them up. So I do put the foam tape behind all of the elements. I'm just not going to make you watch me do all of that. I've done it now, and so now I'm just pulling the backing off and kind of sticking everything down. And if your foam tape isn't really sticky on top of the gesso or the texture paste, you can always add additional adhesive like your Nuvo glue, and that's definitely going to hold things down. So I really am just loving nestling all these pieces into the page and embellishing it in a very visually pleasing manner. I'm going to nestle the @CocoK in between that little towel there that I placed in the snorkel. And yeah, we're almost done. I'm going to link down below to the Not Just for Boys Kit Club, and this kit in particular, it's called the Sunshiny Day Page Kit. I am using additional Nuvo adhesive to stick down those puffy alphas because I don't want them falling off at a later time for any reason. And that adhesive is also in the store, and it's fabulous. I use it on everything, and it holds really well, and it's definitely like a permanent situation. So I wanted something at the top and the bottom, and so I'm trying to figure it out. And in the kit, there is this baker's twine, and it's yellow, and so I loved the idea of getting another pop of yellow in. So I decide to do the twine across the top, and I'm going to tie a little bow and just place it along the top. And I've done this a lot of different ways. Sometimes I use eyelets or like I staple it down, but this time I'm just gonna wrap the ends around to the back, and then I just use some adhesive without taking the backing off to hold it. And I go a lot of different directions, so hopefully it will stay on really nicely. And I don't have to like stick it down all the way across the page, because sometimes the liquid adhesive will make your twine be a little weird. I don't know, but I am using a little dot of it there on the knot of the bow because every time I tried to like pull it taut, it of course was coming undone a little bit. So I just am using it on the knot of the bow. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want to add a little bit something more. And since there was a touch of pink in all of the embellishments, I thought, well, maybe I'll add pink somehow along the top and the bottom. And so I left this in here so you can see that like sometimes the ideas don't really work out, but you usually can fix them. So I decided I'm going to do doodles, right? So I like get out this pink pen and I start drawing like along the bottom and a few different lines. And I try to make it look kind of messy, like a stitch. And then I hate it. I even like started doing it at the top. You'll see me here in a minute, but I hated it. So my solution was to just find the same color pink cardstock, and I'm roughing up the edge. I'm just gonna put a really thin line of the cardstock along the bottom, and it will hide the doodle mess that I made that I didn't like. And then I'm gonna do an even little thinner little strip at the top to do the same. But honestly, like, it's perfect. Even if it wasn't covering up a quote mistake, like I really like it. I like the balance that it gives with the other pinks on the page, and how it frames the whole layout, and kind of just breaks up that stark whiteness of the background that was left at the top and the bottom. So let me know if you guys have any questions down below. I love to hear from you. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. And I thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'm going to link down below to Not Just for Boys. And you can also find me on their blog today with really a lot of detail shots and explanations of the page. So yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye, y'all.